We're back at one of the oldest and one of the best racing tracks on the Formula One calendar. Welcome to Suzuka, where the practice session is just about to start. As we approach the end of the season, the teams will be keeping a close eye on the constructors' table. Every point the drivers can get is really important for the teams at this stage.
Yes, definitely. Every position you climb in the championship has a financial gain come the end of the season. So the difference between finishing third or fourth is well worth fighting for right up until the last race.
One of the more intimidating corners on any Formula One track is the legendary 130R. Whilst unusual, the name actually comes from the original design of the corner, a 130-metre radius turn starting just past the track crossover. Over the years, due to several severe accidents, the corner's been redesigned to create a straighter entry and creating what is now a double apex left-handed corner.
Despite the changes, this is still one of the most exhilarating corners that drivers in F1 have to take. It's not normally considered an overtaking spot, but this is the scene of one of Fernando Alonso's most famous manoeuvres, when in 2005 he passed Michael Schumacher's Ferrari around the outside.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2015 career mode. We are here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Last time out in Singapore. Just going to give you a couple of seconds just to pause this video and go watch that one if you haven't already done so. Okay, so last time out in Singapore, we started at the front of the pack. Unfortunately lost a few positions due to collision with Sebastian Vettel. Then we went down to fourth. And then we managed to make our way back up. We got into the lead. But then we got 6 seconds worth of penalties after a few corner cutting incidents. But we did manage to make a hefty lead to Lewis Hamilton. But unfortunately we made a mistake. Clipped our rear wheel on one of the walls. Span ourselves around. And that allowed Lewis to be right on our tail. And when we crossed the line we did actually finish first. But because of that penalties we finished second. So unfortunately points lost to Lewis. But hopefully we can try and get those points back here in Japan. Nothing happened in practice, so let's head over to the results and then straight into qualifying.
It's been a productive day for Kimi Räikkönen. He's managed to get P1 in today's practice session. Green means go, and that's what the cars will be doing shortly here in Japan as they take to the track for today's Japanese Grand Prix qualifying session. I'm expecting a strong showing here today from the Red Bull team. They really love this classic track and have had so much success at Suzuka over the years.
I think this could be a showdown between the Mercedes and Red Bulls today. The Red Bull team have enjoyed incredible success here over the years, but the Mercedes package could be too much for the Milton Keynes-based team.
Here we go then, qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. We've got into Q3 as per usual, no real challenge there. But now it is time to put in a good lap and try and get pole position here at the Japanese Grand Prix. So let's have a look at some of the laps that we did manage to put in this qualifying session. Here we go then, coming round the final chicane to end our second lap here in qualifying. What sort of time is it going to be and where's it going to put us in the standings as we run down, get the DRS open across the line, and it is a 1:38.6, which is enough to put us P1 at the moment. But I'm not sure if Lewis Hamilton has set his time yet. But at the moment, we're on P1 on the grid. But no, now we're down into P2. There we go. So Lewis Hamilton setting the fastest lap of the session with a 1:38.0, I believe that was. Hopefully we can try and beat that. Here we go on our third lap now. Running it very wide into the entry of the chicane, but taking it very nicely on the second part of the chicane. Running down to the start-finish line. Once again, getting very close to the grass, then across the line. It's a 1:38.3, an improvement on our previous lap, but not enough to catch up to Lewis Hamilton. Can we get him in this qualifying session though? Have we got another lap in us? We're just going to have to wait and see for that. Yes, we do. So the final lap here in qualifying at the Japanese Grand Prix, coming around the last chicane very nicely, running it a little bit wide on the exit, running down towards the start-finish line. Is it going to be enough to beat Lewis Hamilton here? No, it's not. It's not an improvement, unfortunately, but we still are going to be second place on the grid for tomorrow's race.
That's a perfect end to the day for Lewis Hamilton, who'll be on pole now for tomorrow's race.
Well, it's a great result for the team and one that we were expecting from them. Tomorrow, they'll be expecting both cars on the podium if it all goes to plan.
Lewis Hamilton then beating us to pole position here at the Japanese Grand Prix and only beating us by 0.2 of a second. So we were very close, and hopefully with a good result tomorrow we could be able to beat him. We came home in second in this qualifying session. Then it was Nico Rosberg, our other Mercedes Championship title rival. He finishes the qualifying in third, and next to him is Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Then it's his teammate Kimi Räikkönen in fifth with Valtteri Bottas in sixth. Then Felipe Massa in seventh. Our teammate Daniil will start in 8th, then it's Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz who round out the top 10. And without any further ado, let's head over to qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Welcome to one of this year's most challenging races, where the combination of high speed and complex corners makes this one of the drivers' favourite tracks. It's time for the Japanese Grand Prix. Here's today's pole sitter, Lewis Hamilton. When I was speaking to him early on, I got the sense that he has total confidence in himself and his Mercedes car to take that race victory today.
There are a lot of variables that can cause a driver to be happy with the car one day to struggling with it the next. Track temperature, excessive tyre wear, or a change of fuel load can all affect the feel of a car. He'll definitely be hoping that when the race gets underway, he's got the same balance as he enjoyed in qualifying.
Lotus had to break the curfew last night after one of their cars sprung a fuel leak, hence the look of concern on those mechanics' faces this morning. Well, that and the bleary eyes.
They've done their job and got the car ready to go for today's race. Now they'll be hoping that all their hard efforts will be rewarded with some points.
It's race day here in Japan. We start second on the grid. What sort of result can we get? Can we be able to beat Lewis Hamilton as we have a look at the race strategy? And it's going to be a 3-stop strategy here in Japan of this 53-lap race. But let's get this race underway now as the lights start to come on. It's 5 lights. And away we go for the Japanese Grand Prix, and we've got off to another terrible start. That's allowed Nico Rosberg to go for the overtake on our left-hand side. We've got the 2 Ferraris behind us trying to look for a move. We're going to hug the inside in towards turn 1. We push it out wide, and that forces Kimi Räikkönen out wide. But then he comes out in front of us, and it looks like Valtteri Bottas tried for a move behind us and puts himself into a spin. So unfortunate there for Valtteri Bottas. But now it's Lewis Hamilton who leads the race at the moment with Nico Rosberg in 2nd. We're in 3rd with Kimi Räikkönen right behind us in 4th. And I'm not sure who is behind in 5th after that incident with Valtteri Bottas. As we're coming through the next couple of corners, it looks like the 2 Mercedes are getting away from us as we cut ahead to the end of lap 1. The gap to Nico Rosberg is 2 seconds after 1 lap. And Kimi Räikkönen right behind us. Will he go up the inside in towards turns 1 and 2? Yes, he does. Kimi Räikkönen gone for the overtake. We've run it wide on the exit of turn 1. Now in towards turn 2. We look for a move around the outside, but just didn't have enough drive there. Now we're losing the back end all over the place. We're going to have to try and look for a move on Kimi Räikkönen as we're right behind him in towards the S's here in Suzuka. Here we go. Can we look for an opening in the next couple of corners? We're quite quick through this S's section. Now we're going to try and move maybe round the outside in towards this corner. No, not enough room there. And unfortunately, we put ourselves onto the grass, and that's allowed the Ferrari of Kimi Räikkönen to just get away ever so slightly. And now we're coming up to the chicane now on lap 7. I believe it's pit stop time for us as we are getting to the end of the lifespan of these option tyres as we cut across the corner there. So lucky not to get a corner cutting penalty like we've had done in both Singapore and Italy in recent races. But now Lewis Hamilton, I believe that is also in the pits. Not too sure. Yes, it was Lewis Hamilton who is also in the pits. And then we drive through a Williams mechanic there. I hope he's okay. I hope we didn't just kill him, because that was weird. But yes, we just drove through a Williams mechanic, and that pit stop was a 2.3 second stop. Lewis Hamilton, our championship rival, just up ahead of us as we can see. He's going to get away from us. We're going to have to try and push like hell on these option tyres to try and catch him up and maybe go for the overtake before Nico Rosberg goes for his pit stop, as we come out right in front of Marcus Ericsson and very lucky not to be caught up behind him. Up next for us on track is Sergio Perez, but he hasn't pitted yet, and now we are very close to Sergio Perez, Hülkenberg and Hamilton, who are coming into the pits. Hülkenberg comes into the pits this lap. Sergio Perez decides to stay out, but Lewis Hamilton not too far ahead of us, and we could have a good chance of going for an overtake soon.
Okay, you're within 1 second of the car ahead. Get ready to use DRS to overtake.
So we're within 1 second of Sergio Perez, and now we're looking for a move around the outside in towards turn 2. Can we make it stick? No, not quite. We just didn't have the drive out of that corner. Sergio Perez not too far up the road though, so we can try and move maybe around the outside of some corners. I believe Kimi Räikkönen has had a very good overcut through the pit stops on Lewis Hamilton, as he's now ahead of him. And now we go round the inside on this corner on Sergio Perez. We haven't quite got the move done. He is still on our outside as we go all the way through here. Then it'll be on the inside in towards this first corner. And looks like we've made the move stick with a fantastic move around the outside there. And then it is done in towards the second part of that corner. And now we cut ahead to the end of lap 9. Looks like there is a cluster of cars up ahead of us. I believe that's Kimi Räikkönen and Lewis Hamilton. Looks like Kimi Räikkönen is going round the outside of a car. I believe it is Max Verstappen up ahead. And looks like they're running very slowly. Can we try and move on Lewis Hamilton? Looks like we're going to get Max Verstappen as well. Are we going to do all three? Yes, we do. Go up the inside of all three drivers. What a triple overtake that was to get past not just Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton, but Max Verstappen as well. That's a fantastic overtake to try it on all three drivers. Max Verstappen, he comes into the pits as that is the end of his stint. But now we've got Kimi Raikkonen right behind us, who will be looking to try and get past it within the next couple of corners, but isn't able to get through in towards turn 1. So we are up into P4 for the moment, but looks like Daniil Ricciardo and Roman Grosjean have not pitted yet. As we cut ahead to lap 10, we've got Kimi Raikkonen right behind us. Will he be going for an overtake round the outside of 130R? Can he make it stick? No, he doesn't. He runs wide. As we look in the mirrors, it looks like he's taken out his teammate of Sebastian Vettel. Hopefully we get a replay of what happened there. Looks like he ran wide, and then as he came back onto the track, he took out his teammate. Here we go, a replay. Yes, so he just comes back onto the track, into the path of Sebastian Vettel, and the two Ferraris collide, and that is unfortunate for Sebastian Vettel just to be a victim in that instant. As we now cut ahead back to the action, as Lewis Hamilton is trying to move around the outside in towards turn 1. Looks like he's made it stick. Can we come back in through turn 1 though? Doesn't look like it. We're just going to have to settle for 5th position for the time being. Marcus Ericsson is the guy behind us after that incident between Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. So both of those are going to lose a lot of time. I think Kimi Raikkonen is out, but Sebastian Vettel is still running. So Lewis Hamilton, can we try and move up the inside here in towards this corner? Looks like we are. Looks like we've made it stick as well. Looks like we're both caught. Unfortunately, we're both caught there, so I wasn't able to steer, and we went straight into the gravel. But none of us have any damage, so not too much harm done there. Now we cut ahead to the end of lap 11. Lewis Hamilton going around the outside of 130R, doing what Kimi Raikkonen did earlier, but then same again. He just runs out wide, loses a lot of time, and luckily for him, there is no driver out there for him to cause a collision with it, as it looks like Daniil Ricciardo is finally coming into the pits for his first pit stop in this race on lap 11. So I think he is trying a two-stopper in this race. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of position he can get with that two-stopper, and we could even be racing him towards the end of the race. Roman Grosjean also trying the two-stopper, and he is still in 2nd place as he has decided not to come into the pits as of yet. So now we cut ahead to lap 12. We've got Lewis Hamilton trying to move around the outside of 130R once again. Looks like he's going to make it stick this time. Maybe we'll be able to come back in up the inside. He had so much room there, but for some reason he decides to drive himself out wide and loses so much time. So that won't matter to us, as we want to stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton in towards the next couple of corners. It looks like Roman Grosjean has been overtaken by Nico Rosberg, I think. So I believe he must be in the pit lane. Yes, he is. Roman Grosjean is in the pit lane for his first stop in this race on the start of lap 13. And we are now up into P2. Nico Rosberg, I think, is a long way down the road, so it might be a tricky job to try and overtake him, but we'll try our best in towards the next couple of corners. But we've got to try and defend from Lewis Hamilton at the moment, as he is still right on our tail as we come across the start-finish line to end lap 13. Looks like he's going to get the move done before he's even got to the start-finish line. He's now on our left-hand side, and there he goes. Drives past down towards turn 1, and he is in P2 for the time being. But can we come back in towards turns 1 and 2, running it very wide? Looks like we've gone wide off the track, getting a warning for exceeding track limits. Can we try and move out the outside of here? No, we just lose time while we went out the outside of that corner. But now we're going through the S's section. That puts us right on the gearbox of Lewis Hamilton now as we come through this S's section. Can we catch up through the next couple of corners and maybe try the same sort of move that we did earlier? It looks like we're going to try up the inside in towards that corner. This time, can we make it stick? No, Lewis Hamilton has a good drive out to that corner to be on our inside. And now he's going to be on the inside of this corner. And it looks like he has got the job done. But now we're going to try and move up the inside here. Can we make it stick? He gives us the room. And we are back up into P2 with a fantastic move up the inside of that corner as we go down towards the hairpin. Now we cut ahead to the end of lap 15. Putting it up into rich mix. Looks like Lewis Hamilton is right on our tail once again. He's going to go for an overtake down in towards turn 1. He has that DRS and that faster straight line speed of the Mercedes powered car. And it looks like it's an easy job for him as we go very wide in towards turn 1 once again. Just going to have to settle behind him as we go through turn 2. Right on his gearbox now as we go through the S's section. Hopefully he doesn't hold us up too much, as we are very quick through here. And we need to look for a gap to try and get past him. Coming through the last part of the S's section now. This is our best opportunity for overtaking as we try up the inside once again. He gives us the room. Good drive out of the corner from both of us. We're going side by side as we go down to this corner. Last time we came out on top as Sergio Perez, he just gave us a lot of room. So can Lewis Hamilton do the same? No. Lewis Hamilton brakes a lot later than us. He goes up the inside, doesn't give us the room. And unfortunately, that's put us into the gravel. Sebastian Vettel down in 17th place after that incident gets lapped by us once again as we go in towards the hairpin on lap 16. And it looks like Lewis Hamilton has got ahead of us ever so slightly. So we're going to have to try and catch him up within the next couple of laps as we cut ahead to lap 21 as we come into the pits for our second pit stop in this race. Lewis Hamilton looks like he's quite a bit ahead of us as he has already done with his pit stop. His team have already come out. So it looks like he's had a very fast pit stop. And the gap at the moment is 8 seconds, but not too sure that might be a bit different with the pit stops at the moment, but it was a 2.3 second pit stop by the Infinity Red Bull boys, and we are going to stay in 4th position. No, actually, sorry, Daniil Ricciardo has overtaken both me and Lewis Hamilton after we have made our second pit stop, and he has not made his second pit stop yet. As we run down in towards turns 1 and 2. So in P4 at the moment, out of the 18 runners still in this race. And now we've got to try and catch up to Lewis Hamilton and Daniil Ricciardo as we cut ahead to the end of lap 24. Going through the chicane once again, very nice and tidy through there. Doesn't look like there's any drivers around us as Daniil Ricciardo is the driver up ahead. What is the gap to him at the moment? As we set the fastest lap of the race, and it's a 6-second gap to Daniil Ricciardo, and I think Lewis Hamilton is even further ahead. But setting that fastest lap is definitely good news in our bid to try and catch up both Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. As we've got Pastor Maldonado, a lapped car just ahead of us as we go through this S's section once again for the 25th time in this race. And just look how much we're catching up to Pastor Maldonado through the S's section. We're so much quicker than all the AI through here. Now we're probably going to get a move around the outside or inside. No, he just stops the car right in the middle of the track and stops it once again. Pastor Maldonado, what are you doing? Just stopping the car in the middle of the track. Where does he expect us to go? And we finally get past him, but that is a disaster from Pastor Maldonado. That's going to lose us so much more time to Daniil Ricciardo. Now the gap is 8.9 seconds, so lost us 3 seconds of time to Daniil Ricciardo on that sector alone. That is a disaster, but now we cut ahead to the end of lap 29. We are right on the tail of Daniil Ricciardo. Look how much we caught up through the exit of the spoon curve. As we now run it up the hill in towards 130R. We put it up into Rich Mix right behind our teammate of Daniil Ricciardo. Can we try for a move in towards 130R? We're going to go up the inside. Are we going to make it stick? Yes, we are. Up the inside of 130R. Daniil Ricciardo gives us the room. He runs it a little bit wide, but not luckily for him, there is nobody out there for him to collide with like Kimi Raikkonen did earlier. But we are now back up into P3 after a fantastic overtake there on Daniil Ricciardo. The gap at the moment to Lewis Hamilton is 11 seconds. So we're going to have to put in some fantastic laps to try and catch up to Lewis Hamilton and maybe get this second place in this race. As we now come into the pits for the final time on lap 35 for our prime tyres. What sort of time is it going to be from the Infinity Red Bull Racing? Boys, the gap at the moment to Lewis Hamilton has increased. It's 13 seconds, so we're not doing what we needed to do, but hopefully on these fresh and prime tyres, we can start to put in some good laps and try and catch him up. So running out of the exit of the pit lane. Doesn't look like Daniil Ricciardo is going to get past us. He's coming through the final chicane now. So it looks like we've had a good run on Daniil Ricciardo, who is, I believe, has made his final pit stop and is running to the end on his tyres as well. So both of us Red Bulls have finished all our pit stops and now running to the end of the race on our tyres. As we're now coming through 130R once again on lap 43. 10 laps of this race to go, and the gap to Lewis Hamilton has come down to 10 seconds. So we're definitely doing a good job as we cut across the final chicane. And unfortunately, we've got a 3-second time penalty. We did cut across the corner, so that was a deserved penalty. Not like Singapore, where you could argue that it was a slight corner cut, but that one was a very, very obvious corner cut. So 3-second time penalty is a fair penalty for that corner cutting. But now the job is going to be even tougher as we try and catch up to Lewis Hamilton, and it just wasn't possible as Nico Rosberg wins this Japanese Grand Prix. We're right behind Roman Grosjean as we're going to come across the line for his sort of disappointing 3rd position here.
Top drive from Nico Rosberg today. The German finished on the top step of the podium with a comprehensive performance.
It really was a wonderful performance, and one that the team will be celebrating for some time to come.
That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
There we have it then. Nico Rosberg wins this Japanese Grand Prix in his bid to try and catch up to Lewis Hamilton in the championship. Lewis Hamilton finishes in second. Unfortunately, we just weren't good enough today to compete with either of the Mercedes drivers. So we finished down in third position with that 3-second time penalty not really affecting us at the end of the race. Daniil Ricciardo, our teammate, has an impressive race finishing in fourth, maybe thanks to both Ferraris colliding, but Sebastian Vettel still managed to finish the race in sixth. Valtteri Bottas, he finished in fifth, and then Sebastian Vettel, he finished in sixth. Max Verstappen finishes the race in 7th with Romain Grosjean in 8th. Then it's Jenson Button in the McLaren Honda who finishes in 9th, and Sergio Perez getting a 10-second time penalty. He finishes in 10th, getting the final World Championship point. So let's have a look at how that affects us in the drivers' standings. In the drivers' standings, Lewis Hamilton has managed to get away from us, but only by 3 points. The gap to him at the moment now is 39 points, and Nico Rosberg got a 10-point gap to us in that race alone, so now the gap to him is 11 points. So this championship bid is getting tougher and tougher by every single race, so we're going to have a good result next time out in our home Grand Prix in Russia. But let's have a look at how this affects us in the Constructors' Championship. In the Constructors' Championship, we are now on 324 points. We have pulled a big lead to Ferrari after that race, after Kimi Raikkonen failing to finish and Sebastian Vettel being beaten by both me and Daniil Ricciardo. So that is a good result all round for the Infinity Red Bull Racing boys to now get a bit of a cushion to Ferrari as we go into the final couple of races. Thank you very much for joining me for this Japanese Grand Prix, and I hope you can join us for the Russian Grand Prix, which is in fact Daniil Kvyat's home Grand Prix, so we're expecting a good result from Daniil Kvyat there. But if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like rating and also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more F1 content in the future. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.